The stars outside the ship looked still, like frozen sparks scattered across a dark ocean. Captain Jaren Voss stood at the main viewing window on the bridge of the Valkyrie, hands behind his back, eyes calm. He had seen many stars in his lifetime, but out here, at the edge of the Andromeda expanse, they seemed different, quieter, farther from war, farther from Earth. The Valkyrie was not just any ship. It was one of the most advanced warships ever built by humans. Its armor could withstand asteroid impacts. Its AI could run full battle simulations without human input. It carried enough weapons to level a small moon. But today the ship was silent, calm. "Status report," Jaren said softly. Commander Ray Lin, his second in command, glanced up from her console. "All systems green. No threats detected. Patrol rate stable. Crew rotation on schedule." Jaren gave a small nod. He wasn't expecting trouble. This region of space had been empty for years. No signals, no movement, just deep space and silence. But something in his gut always stayed alert. Old habits from too many battles. He turned away from the window and walked slowly across the bridge. His boots made soft taps against the steel floor. Around him, officers worked quietly. The atmosphere was peaceful, almost routine. He passed a screen displaying Earth news from hours ago. Protests, climate recovery progress, an art festival in New Berlin. Even light years away, Earth still felt like a distant hum in the background. Jaren entered the captain's log room, a smaller space with a desk and private console. He sat down, took a breath, and began recording. Captain's log. April 14th, 2478. Position outer edge of Andromeda expanse. No known threats. Patrol continues smoothly. Crew morale is stable. Ship is functioning well. Still, there's a feeling I can't shake, like we're being watched. No signs of it, no data to prove it. Just a silence that feels too perfect, too clean. He stopped the recording, sat in thought. Jaren had seen war, real war. He had fought in the Battle of Titan's Reach, lost friends at the Martian break line, and survived the Earth-Altari conflict that nearly wiped out a colony. He had ordered others to kill. But now, in his late 30s, he didn't want more war. He wanted peace. Not because he was afraid to fight, but because he knew what fighting cost. The Valkyrie was built to defend. But to Jaren, defense didn't always mean weapons. Sometimes it meant understanding before shooting. Suddenly, the lights dimmed slightly. "Bridge to Captain." Ray's voice came through the comm. "Minor power flicker. Diagnostics running. No cause yet." "Copy that," Jaren said. "Keep me updated." He stared at the screen. Just a flicker. Space was full of little malfunctions. But that feeling, the one in his gut, tightened. Out in the endless dark, something unseen had just taken its first look at them. And it was only the beginning. Far beyond the Valkyrie, hidden behind a veil of light-bending energy, a ship floated in silence. It did not look like any human vessel. Its surface shimmered like water, shifting shape slowly, alive in appearance. This was a Zalari observation craft, one of many, scattered across the galaxy. Inside, the air was cool and smooth. The walls glowed softly with blue light. The Zalari did not use machines the way humans did. Their technology was part of their biology, grown, not built. High Seer Zalnik stood in the center of the observation chamber. He was tall and graceful, with limbs that shimmered like glass and eyes that glowed faintly purple. His mind moved fast, but his face showed no emotion. Zalari did not express feeling as humans did. Beside him, streams of data floated in the air. Images, scans, language fragments. All from the human warship they had just discovered. "The ship calls itself Valkyrie," said a voice from the data stream. It was the ship's interpreter. A blend of AI and organic intelligence. Species, human. Origin, Earth. Purpose, military patrol. Zalarnik studied the information. He saw images of weapons. Rows of missiles, plasma turrets, drone bays. He saw AI protocols capable of independent warfare. He saw past battle logs stored in the ship's core memory. Destruction, designed and perfected, he said quietly. He reached out a hand. The data shifted. Now it showed footage, humans in battle, cities burning, soldiers shouting commands, wars stretching back centuries. Have they changed? He asked. Another Zalari entered the chamber. Her name was Lyrian, a younger scholar. They claim peace, she said. But every peace follows war. Their history is full of it. They are still expanding, Zalnik replied. Still carrying weapons into new stars. Lyrian lowered her head. Should we make contact? Zalarnek was silent. He remembered the old teachings. The galaxy must be kept safe. The Zalari had watched many species rise and fall. Some brought beauty. Others brought chaos. The humans carry war in their bones, he said. They bring fire where there should be light. But they have not attacked us, Lyrian said softly. They do not know we are here. He turned back to the floating data. His eyes paused on an image of the Valkyrie's command center. The human captain stood at the window, staring into space. Zalarnik studied his face. The man looked calm, not cruel, not angry, just thoughtful, but that meant nothing. Appearances could lie. We cannot wait for them to strike first, Zalarnik said. Prepare a containment beam. If we decide to act, we will end this threat before it spreads. Lyrian hesitated. Are you sure? He nodded once. If they are peaceful, they will understand why we feared them. If they are not, then we are already too late. As she left to carry out his orders, the data continued to scroll. Earth's long bloody history played like a silent film in the glowing light. Zalarnik watched and made his choice. The hum of the Valkyrie's engines was steady. Inside, the crew moved through the halls, calm and focused. It felt like just another quiet patrol. But Captain Jaren Voss didn't feel calm. He stood at the command console on the bridge, eyes on the ship's main systems. Everything looked normal on the surface. But deep down, the ship was behaving strangely. Commander Lin, he said, voice low. Did you see that spike? Rai Lin turned from her station. Yes, sir. A power fluctuation in the forward sensor array. It lasted only 0.3 seconds. Cause? She shook her head. No damage. No sign of interference. System reports all green. But this is the third time today. Jaren frowned. The Valkyrie was one of the most advanced warships in the fleet. It didn't glitch without a reason. Any external signals? He asked. None we can track, she said. No radio, no laser comms, no gravitational ripples. But I have a feeling something's brushing past our sensors. Jaren nodded slowly. He had the same feeling. Send a full diagnostic sweep, he ordered. Quietly. I don't want to raise alarm just yet. Aye, Captain. As the crew got to work, Jaren stepped off the bridge and into the narrow hallway that led to the ship's observation deck. He needed to think. Alone. He stood by the wide window, looking out into space. The stars seemed still, but he knew better. Space was never truly quiet. Something was always moving, watching. He tapped his earpiece. Bridge, open a wideband channel, uncoded, all directions. Open, Ray's voice replied. Jaren took a breath. Then he spoke. This is Captain Jaren Voss of the human vessel Valkyrie. We are on a peaceful patrol. We are aware we may not be alone. He paused. If you are observing us, you have no reason to fear. We will not fire first. We only wish to talk. He ended the message and stared into the stars. Nothing answered. No send, no signal. Just the quiet hum of the ship and the soft blinking of console lights. Back on the bridge, Ray watched her screen. A tiny flash flickered at the edge of the ship's sensor range. Too small to lock onto. Too sharp to be a star. What was that? She whispered. No one answered. Far beyond them, the Zalari ship watched silently. Still cloaked. Inside it, High Seer Zalnik listened to Jaren's message. He knows, Lyrian said. Zalnik's face was unreadable. He suspects, but suspicion does not mean peace. Then what will you do? Zalnik didn't answer right away. Instead, He turned toward the control chamber and gave a single command. Begin charging the weapon. Captain Jaren Voss sat alone in the dim light of the observation deck. The stars looked cold tonight. His message had gone out hours ago, but there was still no reply. Until now. The lights flickered. The air seemed to shift. Then, without warning, a strange voice echoed through the ship's main comms. It wasn't a voice made of sound. It was inside Jaren's head, calm, quiet, and alien. You carry fire in your hands and call it peace. Explain. Jaren stood up slowly. Bridge, are you hearing this? Yes, sir, Raylin said, her voice tense. Coming through every channel. We can't trace the source. Jaren turned toward the speaker on the wall, though he knew it wasn't necessary. Who are you? The voice responded instantly. It wasn't a single voice, but many woven into one, deep, layered, and strangely gentle. We are the Zalari. We observed your ship. We see what it carries. We see what you are. Jaren took a steady breath. We are explorers, defenders. We do not seek war. Yet you are built for it. Your ship is a weapon. Your AI is trained to destroy. Your history is soaked in violence. On the bridge, officers listened in silence. No one dared speak. Jaren replied carefully. Yes, we have known war. We've made terrible choices, but we've also learned. We've changed. The voice repeated. Explain how a species that builds weapons faster than it builds understanding can change. Jaren felt the weight of the question. We survived, he said. Earth was a broken place once, but we rebuilt. We ended wars. We built homes on planets where nothing once lived. We carry weapons because the galaxy is not always safe. But that doesn't mean we want to use them. There was a long silence. Then the Zalari voice spoke again. Softer now. You say you want peace, yet you design your machines to kill without needing you. You record every battle, every method of death. We scanned your ship. We saw everything. Jaren closed his eyes. He knew what they had seen. The Valkyries' war logs, simulations of combat, weapons systems ready to deploy in seconds. But they hadn't seen everything. Come back to the live channel, Jaren said. See my crew, see our scientists, our engineers, our medics. Look beyond the armor. The voice didn't answer. Jaren moved quickly. Ray, he said into the comm. Switch all exterior cameras to live stream. Broadcast our crew activities. Show everything. All of it, sir. All of it. Moments later, screens on the Zalari ship lit up. They saw the Valkyrie's medical bay. Doctors treating a minor injury. The hydroponic gardens. Crew members tending to growing plants. The ship's classroom. Children from science teams learning about space. Not soldiers. Not killers. Just people. Salnik watched in silence. His glowing eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in thought. They show us this, he said to Lyrian. Yet hide so much. Or maybe, she said quietly, we only looked for the worst parts. Salnik turned away. He did not reply. Back on the Valkyrie, Jaren waited, standing still. Then at last, the voice returned. We have seen more, but we are not yet convinced. There is still fear. There is still danger. And there is still time to decide what comes next. The voice vanished. The ship was silent once more. But Jaren knew that silence no longer meant safety. The decision had not yet been made. The mood on the Valkyrie had changed. The ship was quiet, but it was not a peaceful quiet. It was the kind of silence that comes before a storm. Captain Jaren Voss stood at the center of the bridge. Every officer was at their station, tense and focused. A soft alarm blinked silently on the main screen. Something was out there, something big. Report, Jaren said. Ray Lin looked up from her console. Unidentified energy spike, bearing 274. It's faint, but increasing. Source. She shook her head. Still, unknown. It's not natural. Something's charging. Fast. Jaren's eyes narrowed. Is it a weapon? We think so. Ray said. It's coming from somewhere outside normal visual range. Cloaked, maybe. The crew looked to Jaren, waiting for his order. Raise shields, he said. But do not charge weapons. There was a pause, one of disbelief, but the order was followed. The Valkyrie's shield hum filled the bridge. Protective, but passive. Jaren knew the Zalari were watching. He didn't want to give them a reason to see him as a threat. On the Zalari ship, High Seer Zelanik stood in front of the energy control core. The weapon, an invisible beam of pure heat and kinetic force, was nearly ready. Once fired, it would pierce the Valkyrie's shields in seconds. They did not fire, Lirin said. They shielded, but they're not attacking. Zelanik's face was still. That means nothing. It could be a tactic. A delay. They showed us their lives, she said softly. What if they are telling the truth? Zelanik did not answer. He looked down at the control panel. The beam was fully charged. One command and the human warship would be gone. Back on the Valkyrie, the crew waited. Captain Ray said, "We have 60 seconds before whatever that is reaches full strength. It could fire any moment." Jaren didn't move. He spoke into the ship's system. Open all channels. Visual and audio, full crew broadcast. All channels open, Ray confirmed. Jaren stepped into the center of the bridge, where the main camera was. "This is Captain Jaren Voss," he said. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. "We are not here to fight. We are explorers. Scientists, builders. We defend ourselves, yes. But we do not fire first." He turned slightly, letting the camera take in the entire bridge. Officers at their stations. No weapons armed. Just people working. Just people waiting. Jaren continued. "This ship carries memories of war. Yes, but we carry more than that. We carry the choice not to repeat it." He paused, then looked straight into the lens. "If you destroy us, you will be destroying more than a ship. You'll be ending the chance to understand us, to learn who we really are." He stepped back. "Ray, rotate cameras. Show the ship. All of it." Across the ship, feeds came alive. Labs with researchers running experiments. The medbay treating minor injuries. The dining hall where crew members quietly shared meals. There were no weapons in sight. No soldiers in formation. The countdown on the sensors reached 10 seconds. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. 5 seconds, Ray whispered. Then nothing. No blast. No sound. The energy spike vanished from the sensors. The lights on the bridge flickered once, then returned to normal. A moment later, a soft tone rang across the comm. A voice followed. "We have seen enough. For now." And then the voice was gone. Jaren exhaled, the tension finally breaking. The crew looked at him. Some in shock, some in relief. No one spoke. Jaren sat down slowly in his chair. His hands trembled slightly. He clenched them to stop the shaking. He had gambled everything on trust, and for now he had won. Inside the Zalari ship, silence filled the chamber. The weapon core, once glowing with deadly energy, was now dim. The heat had faded. The countdown had stopped. The Valkyrie was still alive. High Seer Zelanik stood without moving. His long fingers rested above the control node, just inches from the command that would have destroyed the human ship. He stared at the floating images around him. Live feeds from the Valkyrie showed a crew working, talking, repairing systems. No panic. No counterattack. No weapons. Just life. Lyrian stepped forward carefully. Her voice was soft. "You chose not to fire." Zelanik nodded once. "I waited. That is not like you." He didn't reply. Instead, he looked back at the projection of Captain Jaren Voss, still visible in the corner of the display. The human's face was calm but firm. His final words echoed in Zelanik's memory. "We carry the choice not to repeat it." A strange silence filled the room again, not empty, but full of thought. The kind of silence that asks a question instead of giving an answer. Lyrian moved beside Zelanik. He could have fired first. He didn't. even when he knew we were there. Because he wanted to live, Zolanek said. Or because he believed we might listen, she said. That made Zolanek pause. He turned away from the screens. Send a message. Lyrian blinked. What kind of message? Not a warning, not a threat. An opening. Her eyes widened slightly. You're calling for contact, he nodded. Cautious contact. Controlled. But yes, if they are as they say, we cannot judge them by fear alone. Lyrian smiled faintly. A rare thing for a Zolari. You are changing, Seer. Zolanek said nothing. Far away aboard the Valkyrie, the crew worked quietly to restore full systems. Captain Jaren sat alone in his quarters, reviewing the last few hours. He watched the transmission logs, read through the system diagnostics. Everything had returned to normal, but nothing felt normal. He opened his log recorder. Captain's log, April 15, 2478. The Zolari made contact. Real contact. They did not destroy us. They pulled back. That tells me something changed. In them or in us. For now they're silent again. But not watching from the dark. Watching from the edge of trust. A soft chime sounded from the bridge. Captain Ray said through the comm. We've received a message. Jaren stood up quickly. From Earth? No, she said. From them. He walked to the bridge. On the main screen, a new transmission blinked. It's a short message. Just 3 words. We are listening. The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Jaren gave a quiet smile. Prepare a response. For the first time in days, the tension faded. The stars no longer felt like eyes filled with judgment. Now they felt like open doors. Doors that might lead to something new. The stars hadn't changed. They still shimmered in the vast black of space, distant and cold. But to Captain Jaren Voss, they no longer felt so far away. He stood once again on the observation deck of the Valkyrie, hands resting on the railing, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. But this time, the silence around him felt different. It was not the silence of being alone. It was the silence of being heard. Behind him, the soft hum of the ship filled the air. The crew moved with a new sense of calm. The fear was gone. They had survived what could have been the end. More than that, they had made contact. Ray Lynn stepped into the room. The message from Earth just came through, she said. Jaren turned slightly. And they've authorized peaceful contact. They're preparing a diplomatic team. The Celery have agreed to a neutral zone for a meeting. No weapons, just words. Jaren nodded slowly. Good. He looked back out the window. You ever think, he asked quietly, about how close we came to being destroyed? Ray stood beside him. Every second. And yet, he said, they stopped. Ray gave a small smile. So did we. The silence returned. But this time it was full of meaning. The kind of quiet that comes after a deep breath. A signal light blinked on the far console. Another message. No sound, no image, just a simple transmission from the Celery. We are ready. Jaren walked to the console and tapped the reply. So are we. Later that evening, Jaren recorded his final log for the mission. He sat at his desk, speaking softly into the recorder. Captain's log, April 16, 2478. The Celery made their choice. So did we. No battle, no destruction. Just words exchanged between 2 species that feared each other. It's not peace yet, not fully, but it's the start. And in this galaxy that means everything. I used to believe war was part of who we are. Now I believe it's just one version of who we've been. We can be more. And someone finally saw that. They saw us. He paused, looked out the window one last time. It's not what they saw that mattered most. It's what we showed them. He ended the log. Outside, space stretched on forever. Still cold, still dark, but no longer silent. Now it held the echoes of a message shared between 2 worlds. Simple, quiet, and full of hope.